Siloam Springs Board of Directors, roll call.
Blair. Here. Burns.
Here.
Wiles.
Here.
Hunt. Here. Ristler. Here. Allen.
Here.
Carroll.
Here.
Are back to the budget tonight, and Christina, what department did we end up with last time? Where were we? Do you remember?
Yes, we ended up with community development.
Okay.
So we were still, I guess basically if there are no more questions related to expenses for community development, we can move on.
I can't hear you. There's a weird echo over here. I can hear you better over there.
Okay, sorry. If there aren't any questions for community development, then we can move on to animal shelter.
Okay. Was there any other questions for anyone had for community development? Anybody? Anybody? So the next one is animal control?
Correct.
Okay. Mr. Jim? Are you animal control?
I'll go ahead and just read the highlights, and then we can open the floor for questions. The animal shelter revenues begin on page 34. Current revenues are in line with prior year. Expenses begin on page 35. The raise increased personnel costs slightly, and operations decreased mainly due to lower than anticipated utilities. Capital outlay is on page 36, and budgeted positions are on page 37.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes?
if I call you Madam Mayor.
Nope.
Sorry.
Nope, not going to answer.
Okay. Christina, can you explain what an animal tax is?
The animal tax is basically the fee that we charge for having an animal.
Like, for the tags that we get, not,
I'm going to let James handle that.
James Harris, Community Services Manager. The animal tax is our city tags.
it's tags.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought.
So it's the $10 fee if the animal is unfixed, $5 if it is a fixed animal.
Okay. And I noticed we're down 50% on the impound fees and penalties. Is this because we are picking up less animals? What, are we not?
We are still
issuing so
picking
many
up, we're picking up a little bit less animals, but we're also, people aren't reclaiming animals. And so
Okay.
the impound fees are gonna go down because people were just keeping the animals and then adopting them out.
Okay. Are we issuing less or more citations?
That would be we're probably in line with it, but all of those fees goes into the court's fees for all our citations.
So we're solving a lot of our animal issues. We're not seeing as many calls. Is that what's happening?
We're still right about the same from previous years and everything. We have noticed that there's not as many people reclaiming their animals.
Oh, okay, so we can't find somebody.
Yeah,
that's
we
out
can't
there.
find the
We can
owner
only
of them, so we have
adopt
to
them.
adopt them out.
Okay.
And so that's sort of the increase in the spay and neuter fees that are in there is because we're getting more
Have
money
to
because
adopt more.
we're adopting out more animals.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
Vice Mayor.
Yes, Brad?
Hey, the only thing I had, and I sent you one of my emails, but I do recall just trying to look at more efficient vehicles that stay within the city, and I understand all weather, and just kind of maybe modernizing, because when I see when I see what county's animal control, and then I see us basically a pickup truck with a box in the back. So I'm going to get on that encouragement of, and I don't know.
So the truck that we have in here is to put a box that is like the county has. We purchased a truck from Fayetteville 2 years ago. My fault. And it was a used truck. Transmission went completely out in it. Talking with the fleet services and everything, we decided that it wasn't worth putting the transmission in because we didn't know what the motor was gonna do and everything. So this is to be able to put a $40,000 bed or a box on the back of this truck that will be able to, and then currently the two trucks that Animal Services have is an '07 and a 2011 truck.
Thank you.
Anyone else? I had a question on the donations increase. It's quite a bit. Do we really expect the donations to go from 100 to 1,500? The code on it is that it's based on trend, but how could we know the trend of that much of an increase? Is there already an option that someone is going to donate that or something?
So in previous years, there was the Tailwaggers Association or group, and they have disbanded.
Oh,
And so all of those donations that were going over to them have now started coming into us, and we've been able to, so instead of them going and buying the treats and everything, now we're getting the donations to be able to go buy that kind of things from the public.
didn't know they had disbanded. That was near and dear to Carol, and I hate that it did, but I'm glad that it will benefit the city.
So
and that we're-
that's where the increase is.
Yeah,
is
that makes sense.
Previously, almost 90% or 95% went to Tailwaggers. Now it's all just coming straight to us.
Thank you, Jim. I noticed 2 years ago, last year, actually, we got the roof for the shelter.
Yep.
The fact is, we still could use almost twice as much room, right? Double the size of the shelter we have,
You-
right?
I mean, whatever size we build, we're gonna fill it up, so we have to be smart in what we build.
Right.
Because we don't wanna get into of harboring or keeping animals for even longer.
Right.
And
Yeah.
everything with it, so
If we added room, that's what we'd be getting into.
we would just end up with more animals
Yeah.
there because, I mean, with the economy the way it is, it's definitely harder to adopt out animals right now.
And you just said that it's harder to find the owners as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah,
so,
because the owners are having difficulty
Yeah, so they
being able
they
to take
really.
care of them, so they're not
yeah.
coming to find them.
Yeah. Well, thank you for educating us on that. I appreciate it. Any other questions for Jim on the animal shelter? If not, we're going to jump to the airport for Jim on all the way to the end of the book. Christina, you want to bring us up to date on that?
Sure. Airport revenues begin on page 73. The revenue is up based on trend. And leases, that revenue is based on actual leases signed. Expense begins on page 74. The cost of goods sold increased for fuel purchases related to sales. Personnel decreases reflect the raise and lower wages from employee turnover. And operations increased mainly due to depreciation and property taxes. Capital outlay is on page 75. And budgeted positions are on page 76.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, please.
on page 73, on the miscellaneous income, what does that consist of?
The miscellaneous income is our hay lease.
On the excess land around the airport?
And then on page 75, the mowers, do we not use Parks and Rec mowers, or
No, we have our own set of
you
mowers
have
that
your own,
we,
and you're just replacing them?
yes.
Okay. And then I noticed, just a second, page 76, we are adding one staff member,
We are not adding, we had it in the budget for this year.
and you didn't fill it,
we
and so
ha-
you're still
we-
operating?
But
Okay.
as we've increased at the airport, the need is starting to build for that one. And so we had it in the budget last year. We ended up with a seasonal person for the summer. And then the hope is that we will fulfill it or fill that one for for this year.
So it hasn't been hard to fill, it's just,
Yeah,
it'll be full-time this budget?
yep.
Okay.
So Jim, we don't have a whole lot of capital outlay like we did in the last few years on,
I mean, there are some other grants that are in for next year, but those grants are through the FAA. So the state will come in and pay our 10% matching on that one. So we didn't put that in the budget.
how much is that for, do you know?
For the one that we will be applying for next year, that's for the building of the taxiway that you guys approved the design for. And that's estimated at 1.1 million right now.
But it won't be any cost to us.
But it won't be any cost to the city. That
That's
one
great.
will be fully funded through the FAA and through the state aeronautics.
We've been very fortunate over the years that the state and Fed have helped us.
Yes, and
quite a
then
bit.
the one that is in there is a hangar development.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever that taxiway gets built, we are going to build a new set of hangars that the city will own that will be able to get rent on it. And the state has actually upped how much money that they will give towards that, so we'll be able to get that.
Be a good investment.
Yeah, whenever I first took over the airport, they matched, or the match stopped at 250,000. Now they are up to $500,000 on the match for hangar building. So we are gonna be able to get that, to be able to get a return on our investment a whole lot quicker with that grant.
Good. Is there any other questions on the airport?
Yes, Vice Mayor.
Yes, Brad?
Hey, Jim, I appreciate you answering my email, and I met with you earlier this year. And, you know, my observation is I don't think in the future it's, you know, cost-effective for the city to be in the airport business. And I feel like all businesses restructure at some point. So I would just want to clarify, I'm just responding, I don't know a jack about the airport. All I've done is fly in a lot of weird aircraft to other countries, right?
Yes, sir.
So just from a flight-based standpoint, which I know the private sector wants, and some of the de-icing capabilities that we lack, during cold weather, they're farming somewhere else. The struggle we've had with the fuel prices, we're very grant dependent, but I just see a limit there where we need to go, because you're gonna do in 27 fuel pump replacements. And I know you also want to consolidate a building eventually, right?
And so, we want to purchase some land.
Yeah, so I mean, I know there's some costs in the future that at some point, I don't see grants covering. So I'm just forward thinking in my mind that, you know, I struggle with, I see what's on the horizon, and I hope we continue with the grant money.
Yeah, so currently we have a 5-year plan that is out there. It's our CIP that we send to the FAA and to the State Department of Aeronautics. And that sort of lays out what we have. So in the next 5 years, we still have quite a bit of projects that most of it will be grant funded. I mean, if we wanted to get into really developing hangars and filling in the space that we had, then that would be something that we would have to spend city money on. But currently, right now, we have for the hangar development to build one hangar next year. In 2028, we would build the next set of hangars with grant funding, so that we're still not eating a big cost to the city with all of this, and we keep expanding. And with the taxiway extension, we'll be able to add 5 to 6 private hangars on that side. So then that will allow us to have more operations there that are going to be able to have bigger aircraft, because we'll have a safe way to be able to get down to that side of the taxiway or the airport on that side whenever that new taxiway is built.
And is there we had a gentleman up earlier in the month, or last month, about an extension of the runway. Is that in your glide path there anywhere, or is that just is that a dream?
I mean, we have enough property too. I mean, so some of that will also be dictated on what gets developed to the north. As that starts to be developed, if we don't have the property and it gets developed, then it's going to start to limit what the airport can really do at that point, because you're going to have your approaches aren't going to be able to come in and everything, and it's going to change approaches and the way that the aircraft have to come in to be able to go over the houses, because they're going to want a 300-foot clearance on some of that stuff. So as the developments want to come in, we got to have those talks with the developers of how it's going to impact the airport.
Thank you, sir.
Anyone else? Jim, I will say that I'm a little the opposite of Director Burns in that I have seen for decades the advantage of an airport helping to bring business to Siloam. Simmons uses it a lot. Allen's used to when they were viable, and it's just something that businesses look at as a boon to their future if they are going to put a factory here or whatever. And so I think it's an advantage. We don't lose money on fuel sales. It can go up and down, we know that. But the fact is, for the small amount of overhead that we have relative to operating, I think it's a worthy department.
And just for your guys' information, we do have a meeting scheduled for next week with the Northwest Arkansas Council to discuss the airport and what, if they can bring anything towards us with grants also that they can find to be able to help with the infrastructure at the airport. So, because out of the airports in Northwest Arkansas, our airport does have the most room for the growth.
The most room for the growth.
Yeah, because we have the whole
Right.
east side, east side of
expansion.
the
Yeah.
runway that we can still develop also. So out of everybody, almost everybody else is almost fully landlocked in,
Yeah.
and we do have the ability to potentially grow, but we also have the room to develop with what we have currently.
And on the size of the county, I mean, we're in the southwest corner, and the closest, biggest one is XNA, but then you go over to the east and, you got Springdale, but what do you do?
And just so that you guys are aware, it will be a little more difficult for us to become a controlled airspace just because of our airspace touching XNA, where everybody else has a little bit of a gap. We're only 14 miles from XNA, so they are going to contest us being controlled airspace, is what I've been told from the FAA on us being a towered airport.
But we were here first.
They're a little bigger
Mayor,
than us.
if I could, several of those questions are corporate questions. So I'm
Yes.
just thinking, 28, 29, and 30,
Yep.
they're going to require, as we get more corporate, they're going to require more services,
Yes.
which are going to burden our costs.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing cheap
There's nothing cheap with an
out
airport.
there.
But Brad, you brought up quality of life tax helps the economic engine. I have seen the airport for many years. May not always be that way, but it has been for a long time, been a boon for the development of future businesses. And I think Brad and I were on the same page a few years ago or last year, whenever it was brought up, that it may be something to look at selling down the road. And we were at one time saying not at any price, but it's like, if the price is right, if it will, if somebody really wants it and they'll pay for a new, what do we say, a new rec center, then yeah, maybe we will take that. So.
And currently this year is a record year for us. We surpassed in September our yearly totals for last year. So we have increased the amount of based aircraft at the airport every year. And then with this taxiway extension, we'll just be able to increase in that way that we can keep operations going up, which then has the revenue coming up also.
Well, Jim, I appreciate the job you do. You've come into your own on learning this and knowing it and doing a great job of making it more important to the city, and I appreciate it, as well as the animal shelter. So thank you for being here tonight. Is there any other department we need to do while you're?
That's the only two I
All
got.
right. Thank you, sir. Jumping back then to, we were at animal shelter. What's after animal shelter?
Infrastructure.
Or animal control, I say. Which one?
Infrastructure, those revenues begin on page 38.
Infrastructure, all right.
So this is basically an internal service fund, and revenues are a function of payroll as time is charged to departments for projects. Expenses begin on page 39. The personnel increased due to the raise plus the change in healthcare elections and one expected retirement. Operations decrease is mainly due to reducing training based on trend. There's no capital outlay for 2026, and budgeted positions are on page 41.
Vice Mayor.
Yes, please.
Christina, on the dues and training, I noticed it's reduced here, and I also noticed if you go over to streets and some of the other departments, it's also reduced. So we're reducing training across the board, which I'm glad we're looking at some cuts. But in streets and some of these other areas, are we making sure that we're still, this isn't affecting safety training?
No, in fact, what this is we have found a cheaper way to get CDL training for our employees.
But this is all CDL?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? If not, who's next? Maintenance?
Yes. Fleet services revenue begins on page 42, and revenue is in line with prior year. Expenses begin on page 43. Offsetting the raises was the reclassification of 2 unfilled positions. Vehicle maintenance is budgeted based on current year expenses. Capital outlay is listed on page 44, and budgeted positions are on page 45.
Any questions or comments? Are we going to say Armina came and doesn't have a question for her? I knew you were going to say that. That's just fine, right? Well, I'll ask you a question. On our capital outlay, we're going to get a new roof?
Yes.
Well, come up, you got to get up to the microphone. I know you don't want to, but you have to, yes, on the spot.
Armina Cribs Fleet Services.
So,
Yes, sir, our
new roof.
plan is to get a new roof.
Well, I'm not surprised. I know a lot of places had hail damage, but that may have just needed a new roof before the hail damage.
It did, and Cliff has done a tremendous job trying to help us patch it up and do what we can, but we're to the point now that it needs
No
to,
option but to,
yes.
yeah. Anyone else?
Like Mayor,
Yes, Mindy?
I'll go ahead and ask, since you're up there, I don't want you to waste your time, since you're up there anyway. So 2 less staff for 2026 than 2025
Yes,
is the,
because of the new equipment that we have and everything, the manpower's
not,
not
As
needed
necessary, okay.
at this time.
okay,
As the city grows, yes, I will be back here asking.
okay. But for now, the 6 as opposed to 8 will cover your needs.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mindy, can you pull your mic down a little bit whenever you? Can you pull? Well, when you were. Anyone else? Any comments or questions? Anybody? Thank you, Armina.
Thank you.
And you're changing the name to Fleet Services?
Fleet Services.
All right. Well, it still says maintenance, so I was just making sure.
I still call it maintenance.
Next one, oh gosh, Finance Department. She's on the spot.
Finance revenues.
No, don't you have to come up? I'm teasing you.
Finance revenues begin on page 46, and revenue is unchanged from prior year. Expenses begin on page 47, and the increase in personnel is due to the reclassification of the two mechanics to utility billing and IT.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, please.
Christina, on page 47, on the system support and supplies, we're down 96%, but we need another IT person? So, do you see what I'm saying? We're down on cost for supplies and support, but so does that mean the calls are down? Does that mean,
Basically, what that meant was we didn't have money to implement new IT this year. And normally, we have funds set aside for new IT projects every year, and we excluded that because we didn't have the funds in the budget.
okay, but we still need another staff member, even though we're not adding?
What we've been adding for the past several years, we just haven't added an IT person for,
So when you do project implementation, though, you don't do that in-house. When you hire a company, you don't have a BSA or anything.
now, basically, a lot of our software is actually, well, I guess I could ask the person in charge of IT to handle that, but go ahead, Anthony.
But we contract, when we install a new software, we contract with that company to do the implementation. A lot of companies have BSAs that do it internally to make sure the process flows a little smoother than normal, than just relying on another third-party company. So that's,
Yes, ma'am. Typically, Anthony Stokes, IT manager. Typically, we do, with these bigger projects, we'll hire out. We do have to, after it's fully implemented, we will have to support that software at some capacity as well. And that's what the additional person was for, was to help us.
how much software have we implemented recently? How many additional software packages?
I know we have ADP, which primarily is just handled by HR and finance themselves. BS&A was a big one, and then it's not just the software, it's also the additional hardware that we had come in. We've had an increase of, since our last front-end support guy, we went up, nearly double in our, on our workstations and front-end, or in devices as well.
When we implement the software, your staff is fully supporting that software once
Not
it's in
fully
place.
supported. We will rely on vendor support if there is vendor support, or if it's, makes
You always
sense
get
to
some
pay for.
level of vendor support with any software package you buy.
I'm sorry, what was that?
You always get some level of vendor support. So if, say I work, I'm going to use the fire department because I always pick on the fire and police department. Say I'm at the fire department and I have an issue with my software. Do you make me call that company for support, or do you actually come support me and call that company for me because you can speak their language where the staff can't?
So it depends on the type of software. So if it's cloud-based and there's nothing we can do about it, we're going to say, hey, you're going to have to contact their support. Now, if it's something that we install locally on one of our servers or one of our computers, we'll assist to make sure that we are able to connect to either the local server or at least to the cloud server but if we deem that the problem is not on our end, we'll say, hey, we'll get involved with the vendor and we'll assist, because we do speak that language.
Right, okay. Okay, I'm just, yeah, I just noticed these numbers were down and then we're going up as support staff, and so, okay, thank you.
No problem.
Vice Mayor?
Yes, Brad.
And then, Christina, you may have mentioned this, when are we going to be, when's .gov going to get online?
So there's a deadline.
Anticipate.
There's a deadline of June 1st of next year.
Anyone else? Brad?
No, sir.
Did you have anything else?
No, thank you.
Anthony, explain to us the .gov. Why are we having to pay so much to change over?
So with the .gov changeover, that kind of got lumped in with another federal compliance regulation that we have to meet, and that was from the FBI's security policy. They're requiring that any cloud data has certain levels of encryption, is stored in physical places, an APP member country, and the people who have access to that from the vendor, they are vetted through an FBI adjudicated background check.
That only works for .gov?
It's not necessarily .gov, it's just our cloud service that we use to email and stuff like that. So because we have to make sure that our current cloud server doesn't guarantee that we will get those features and protections, ensuring that the data resides in these APP member countries. So we're having to look at moving all that data to a different server. And that's where that big price is coming from. It's that migration and making sure we don't lose that data.
What cloud server are we moving to?
It's the same company, but it's just a different service that they require.
What is the MDR solution?
MDR stands for Managed Detection and Response. That, again, is because of the FBI's security policy. They require that we are able to analyze, respond, detect to threats in real time. And currently, we can detect in real time, but we cannot respond in real time. And that's what this MDR solution is going to do for us.
Is that also the VM host replacement?
No, sir. That's that annually we'll replace a server host.
Because it doubles from 28 to 56.
Correct. We have more servers. We had one that was long in the tooth.
And then we've spent quite a bit of money the last 3 years on building security phase 2, 87,000 in '24, 50,000 this year, and 50,000 next year. What does that entail?
This should be, so that's our access control. We were moving the city over to one system. We used to have pretty much almost every building had almost their own solution. That way we're able to manage that centrally. We don't have to, reach out to multiple vendors to say, hey, this person, for this building, we need to call these people.
You're talking about like the key fob entry?
Yes, sir.
You mean every department, every building had a different system?
Not every single department, but there was a lot of different buildings that had different stuff. So we brought it all together, and that's what that project was about.
Did that just happen because it occurred when the building was built and it just went to a different, that's just odd.
More or less. I mean, it used to be that departments would just kind of go out on their own. They may contact us and say, hey, who do you guys use? We told them the vendor we used at the time, and they were free to pick and choose whichever one they wanted, but that kind of ran into problems. Some staff had 4 or 5 different key fobs to get into buildings across the city, so that's why we brought it all together.
Then on the lease, it says 7,000 less. What is it we lease? Just says lease.
That's probably our printers.
I think we ought to label that better instead of just lease.
We have more than just printer leases included in there. But I believe that the decrease in leases has to do with the decrease in printers, is it not?
The few. No,
Kim
you go ahead.
calculates that every year. I apologize. I can get that answer for you.
Yeah, it drops 30% on how much we've spent last year versus next year's budget, and that's why I didn't understand. Very unusual to see something like that lower. Okay. And then I hate to see year over year such large increases in software license renewal, and it just floors me to spend $750,000 on software license renewals. I mean, just 2 years ago, or last year actually, it was 437, and now it's 753, so it's jumped over 300,000 in 2 years. It just seems extraordinary. Going back to the capital outlay, back to last year, I'm just confused. 4x4 extended cab for Tommy. What is that truck for? Surely IT doesn't have a truck.
IT does not. Tommy is our inventory person. Tommy
Oh,
Vaught.
purchasing and inventory, okay.
Yes.
And then 2 years ago, I guess it says 24 actual, 105,000 citywide software. Is that the software that we were going through problems with the utility billing that we were extending, trying to, what do you call it? Everybody
Yes,
on the
and
same software?
Yes, and ironically, the major problem that we're having is not with the new software, it's with our existing software.
It's with our what?
Existing software.
I'm sorry, Christine, you're going to have to pull the mic. I can't hear you, I'm
The-
sorry.
I said ironically, the main issue with the conversion is our existing software.
Oh, the current. Okay. I don't know if everyone else has had problems. I've been on auto pay forever, and I got a hard copy bill to my PO box that I didn't even know the city knew my PO box. So it's a little odd that the changes that people are experiencing. And, yeah, I did it myself. I got it myself, an actual hard copy to my PO box, when in the past, it's always, if there was a hard copy, it went to my street. So just dear, it's just different. Something's going on, so. Any other questions? Next department, oh joy. Thank you, Anthony. Misty is up.
As well. So human resources revenue begins on page 50, and there's no revenue for HR budgeted. Expenses begin on page 51. Personnel increases reflect the raise and additional administrative assistant. Operations are in line with prior year. There's no capital outlay for 2026, and budgeted positions are on page 53.
No change. Any questions for HR? Moving on, enterprise funds.
Electric revenues begin on page 54. There's a decrease in revenue from the prior year budget, and while this does include increases for growth, sales are lower this year than what they are budgeted. Cost of goods declined slightly because power cost is trending lower due to the lower sales. Expenses begin on page 55. Personnel increases reflect the raise and healthcare increases based on elections. Operations increase mainly due to materials and supplies based on trend, and also depreciation cost, which is not an actual physical expense. So, capital outlay is listed on page 56, and budgeted positions are listed on page 57. Now, there is a Scrivener's error in this department and also, I believe, in the water department that Kim brought to my attention today. We're not changing any of the budget numbers, but they wanted to move 2 positions from lineman to foreman based on their crew structure.
Oh, a promotion, is it a promotion?
Basically, yeah, we have people running crews that are not foremen.
Vice Mayor,
Yes.
would that be line crew or tree crew?
The linemen would be moving to foreman. I believe there's 14 of those listed.
On page 54, we have a 20% decrease on the reconnect fees, have we changed any policies that this is down?
No, it's based on, the reconnect fees is typically based on trend. And that is based on how many people don't pay their bill timely.
And we're down? More people are paying their bills?
Well, I believe last year, more people were paying their bills.
Okay,
But this year, we're going to have a different situation. We're not going to do a lot of reconnects because we're not going to disconnect from our error, right? And we'll be giving people time to catch up on that. But right now, what we're expecting is people are paying their bills more. So, I mean,
how much do we write off every year? Do you remember? Sorry.
it's less than 1%, and it's actually slightly less than the national average, but I don't remember what it is.
We don't have a dollar value. Can we
I-
get a dollar
A
value?
dollar value is close to 250,000
A year,
a year,
on average.
on average.
And this is people that can't afford their bill, never reconnect, and it has to just be wrote off. Okay. All my lines. And service extension fees, you said, is this based primarily on more development?
Yes,
Okay. And just to be clear, the credit debit card services, because it's a third-party change, right?
right.
Okay.
That was my question. It's off our books because it's being handled with a third party.
Yes.
Are we still charging the same amount as what we have? It used to be 3%. Is it still 3%?
It is structured a little bit different. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but it's like 50 cents plus 2.9% or something like that.
It's not a flat fee?
It's not a flat fee.
Okay.
It is a percentage with it's got a small flat fee, and then it's got a percentage.
I asked because I had, with this change of software, I'd had someone tell me that we're now charging for checks written to the city when we used to not, and that the credit card fee had gone up from 3 to over 5 or 6. Is that not true?
That's not true.
That's not true.
Okay.
However, I mean, if your bill is $50, maybe, but for the average bill, it would be closer to 3%.
It's supposed to be it couldn't go up to like 7 or 8%.
No, it's
If, unless it's based upon that flat fee, minimum. Okay. So a very small bill, it could be higher relative. Okay.
Yes.
But are we charging if people write a check to the city
If they come and bring us a check, no.
or mail in a check? or-
What they're talking about, they're not talking about checks being mailed in. What they're talking about is if they put a check into their online account,
The direct deposit.
the direct
So direct
deposit.
deposit accounts, if you automatically do billing, it's $3 a month.
Yes.
And the disconnect fee is what? If you don't pay your bill, what is the disconnect fee?
Oh, well, to get reconnected, it's like, I think it's $50 or something like that, or
Okay,
100.
so the $3 is way less. If you pay
Way
$3
less.
a month for a year, it's less than the disconnect fee. And that's passed off from the vendor?
Yes.
That's what I thought. That's the stuff people aren't understanding, that they're not being told clearly, I think. And it's causing frustration by the citizens. Because I get it, we do that in case, we have homes in Oklahoma, and one of our accounts, it's exactly that way. We pay $3 a month. We just now are starting that here in Siloam. We never had that before. And people are not understanding what's going on, and they're not getting it. And we need to simplify it and make it easier for everybody to understand and how it affects them. But if you get disconnected and you have to pay $50, well, you just paid more than if you would have just paid $3 a month for the year.
And they can always do auto pay. Auto pay is still, there's no charge for an auto draft.
But I've been on auto pay and they threw me off.
You gotta re-sign
Through,
up.
through the old system, yes.
Before I know it, there'll be a reconnect fee and everything else.
And are they still, right now, they can walk in and pay their bill?
Yes.
And how do they know that their credit is showing? That's the question I keep
When the new
asking.
bill goes out, the credit will be on the bill.
And they don't get nothing that day that shows that they, because I've had a lot of
No,
people
if they
say.
come in and make a payment, they're making a prepayment, so they should get a receipt. Does that make sense?
A lot of people are, they're not trusting the system right now. There's not a
That's
lot of
okay.
faith in the system.
I get
don't think
it.
there's a lot of faith by the staff either, right now. And so I can understand the citizens' concerns when, you know, it's scary when we live paycheck to paycheck and you're paying a $300.
Christina, did you address the miscellaneous income, 80,000? What makes up miscellaneous income?
So miscellaneous income, I think, is actually a few things. One of those things is when somebody hits a transformer.
Oh,
That's a lot of it.
why are you looking
is-
at me? I've never hit a transformer. You're looking at me.
But I'm just saying, I mean, we receive, or if somebody does damage to our property, we will fix it and then we will bill them for it.
Okay.
And that's miscellaneous revenue.
Okay. And then, just out of curiosity, the '24 budget had the 3/8 of the 1% sales tax. What happened for this year?
Well,
Did it get reclassified somewhere else?
no. So so the revenue comes in the general fund, and we transfer it over here for revenue purposes based on what they actually expend. Okay. So in 2025, there will be 3/8 revenue transferred over at the end of 25 for what they
okay.
actually spent.
So it'll be at the end of the year, it's just not
Yes.
showing up here? Okay.
Yes, but there is none for 26 because we weren't sure if the tax would pass. So we did not include that for 26.
Good. This is the tax that we're having a workshop on,
Yes.
of which, well, it says 3/8 of 1% sales tax. This was from, tell me again, 3/8 of 1% sales tax. What was that tax? That's the tax that's going to come due that we have to revote.
Right.
Okay. And where's the other money go?
Oh, it all goes into the general fund, and then it is split 50/50 from there. But we only include revenue that's expended in the actual financials.
But it says 3/8 because it's 3/8 of a cent, right?
Yes.
We have a 1% permanent, and then a 5/8 cent and a 3/8 cent.
Right.
Okay. So half of it goes to electric and half of it goes to quality of life.
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions?
Vice Mayor?
Yes, Brad?
You know, Phil, I see you back there, and as I read through this, so are we still on track with our plan of putting electric underground? I didn't see anything in the budget that would state that, but
Yes, we are. It's just a slow process.
does it reflect anywhere in here, or is it just something?
It's under general line extension would be where it would be.
So it's underneath that? All right, thank you.
We've been talking about that for 30 years, as much as we could to
Yes, we,
put more and more underground. Driving down 412 today with all the new restaurants and everything, our electric poles obscured the nice visual of all those, and it's just the way it is. I mean, it's not a whole lot can be done when those poles have been there. Where are you going to magically put them, you know?
yes, sir.
But it's not always noticeable until something like that, new business pops up and you see their sign mixed in with our electric poles.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, right, Betsy.
Phil, you said it's under general line extensions. I don't see anything budgeted for 2026.
Mr. Mayor?
Pardon me?
Mr. Mayor, I can answer that question.
Oh, okay, thanks.
So in the past, that has all been 3/8. So until it if it passes, we will come back and ask to amend the budget for that.
Okay, thank you. And one other thing, and I asked you this last year, was I remember going through for several years, and you, Phil, you hardly ever get any new employees. I don't remember now how long it's been. And I also understand how important y'all are in the revenue and what an absolutely amazing job you all do keeping the electric on day and night. And the revenue is super important to the city and keeps all of our departments going. Are you okay on staff? I know sometimes you contract out. Is that working well?
We're very pleased with our contractors. We've, excuse me, we've hired contractors to help us with tree trimming and also with our pole replacements. And so we've just been blessed with really good contractors, and they've helped us out a bunch. And so, but we're good with what we have right now.
Okay, good. I want to keep y'all in business and keep going as well as you have been. So thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else for electric? Bill Stokes, I can tell you the city was fortunate when we got you from GRDA. Thank you very much for being such a great department head.
Thank you for your support.
Well, thank you. Next one is water.
So water revenues begin on page 58. There's a 4% increase in revenues from prior year, mainly due to rate increases. Administration expenses begin on page 59. Personnel costs increased with the addition of the technical services manager. And this is where the other Scrivener's error was. I believe we removed 2 operations personnel from water services. And Josh, correct me if I am wrong, but you actually wanted one of those individuals to come from water plant and the other one to be your technical services person, correct?
Yes, ma'am, that is correct.
Okay. So we will get that fixed. But it does not change the budget numbers at all.
So is there an increase of 7 staff members? Oh, I'm looking at actual versus staff requests. Okay. Yes, Lisa.
Christina, on page 59, we are actually down 8 members, which you're asking for 1 less staff member. On page 59, is those huge increases based off their employee selections on their benefits? I mean, why is it so high?
On which,
There's a 171% increase for their retirement, and their employee fitness programs up 205%.
You're off a line. 205 is on the health claims.
Oh, man.
You need the ruler.
I know. At home, I got a ruler. Makes it a little easier.
Yeah, the health claims went from 7 to 22.
So, employee fitness program and then the health claims is up 205% in the water department. Is that,
the health claims is based on their elections. So if they were single and they moved to family, that's kind of what that usually, or if we have empty spaces, we budget the family so that we have enough to cover for everybody that does family. So right now, we have vacant positions, or I will say right now, when we did the budget, we had vacant positions, so we budgeted them at the high.
just in case you
Just in
hired?
case, yes.
Okay, that makes sense. On page 60, where it's salary and wages and benefit pay, what does it mean budgeted for a position retiring 26? Like, it's 680%.
Yeah, longtime water operator Del Bennett is 43 almost 44 years of service. Will probably be retiring in April this year.
And that's a payout?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
there's a
Payout
huge
benefits.
payout.
Oh, my goodness,
Yes,
yes,
ma'am.
okay.
He's
He
worked here
obviously
for
never
how
took
many
time
years?
off.
44 years and
44
I think
years.
April, I should know this and he's going to beat me up if he's watching. We'll just say April. But yeah, he's been here for 44 years. Been working since 1982. It was his first job out of school. Yep.
Who is it? I'm
Oh,
just curious.
okay.
Dale Bennett.
I can't hear.
Bennett.
Dale Bennett.
Oh. And he's just not taking time off?
Surprising, no, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know if he's ever used a sick day.
That's the kind of guy that you
Truly,
need
I
to
don't know that he's ever used a sick day in
give
44 years.
an attendance award or some kind of
Yeah,
Recognize
all of the awards.
recognition, yeah.
Yep.
Besides the nice benefit pay pack, he needs a gold watch or something, you know,
On page 61,
14 karat gold.
on page 61, AMI services it's in the electric department, so those are for, it's not, AMI is not?
AMI, it just means that they're automatic meters. We have been rolling them out for electric for several years, but we have started water.
Okay, because it
So,
is AMI, is
it
an
is
electric.
AMI.
That's what I was asking. Is
Yes.
this, are we adding, is this a new addition to the water department? So it's
Yes.
not read from, of course, it wouldn't be from the same meter, but is it read at the same time when they go?
No, it's not like a radio read where you drive by and it picks them both up.
Okay,
The new meters, what they do is they actually send the data to the cloud and then we download it.
okay.
Like,
For both
so-
of them?
For both of
electric and
them.
water.
And as we put more meters out, that cost increases,
Okay.
whether it's electric or water.
On page 62, the general line extension, is this due to growth or maintenance?
That one is due to maintenance.
What?
Due to maintenance. It's a 250,000 under capital outlay. Is there a particular area, or is that all over town? Is this one project?
No, I don't
mean,
know
like-
that it's one project. I think, I think where that is coming from, it isn't just for growth because it's in general and not the 3/8. But technically, I mean, it's going to be if we have to replace or repair anything, or if we have new extensions, right?
So we don't have specific plans
Not necessarily, no, we don't.
at this time? Okay.
And to be fair, most of our general line extensions are actually done by whoever develops, right, for,
Right. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to ask. That's why I asked, is it to growth or maintenance? And so, you want to say something? I'm sorry.
Well, just with the new lead and copper rules that are coming out, this isn't anything we've talked about yet, but one thing that money could be used for somewhat is to do a better assessment of the lead and copper lines in our system in the older parts of town we're going to have to start attacking that pretty aggressively pretty soon. So that could be a project that we look to spend some funds on out of that.
On page 63, and David kind of alluded to this earlier, we have budgeted staff of 28. We only have 20 current staff. Why are we having such a hard time keeping positions filled in this area? Is it salaries? Is it, what is causing is it the job because you're outdoors and having to do hard work?
Well, some of that number 20 was just at the time we did the budget, and there was some vacancies. I mean, for example, at the water plant, like I had moved on, our foreman had resigned, so there was a couple vacancies out there. There was an operator position open out there as well. The wastewater plant had just recently hired a new foreman, so there was a vacancy at that time. So most of it just happened to a timing issue with when we put the budget
How many
together.
staff do you currently have then?
I think everyone is full with the exception of water services, and they're down 3 right now.
You have 24 staff
yep.
members, okay.
Do you have a problem keeping because of pay or anything? Do we need to review that?
Not at this time. We are reviewing it on our end, but not at this time.
Okay. Yes, Brad?
I could tell by your face, it is pay.
Well,
I
I don't-
could see that face, and it's hard to find people that stay over 40 years, isn't it?
Yeah, oh, yeah. All right, just truthfully, I don't know that it's a pay thing. I feel like the avenue to make more money is there, and the initiative may not be there for some of the staff.
So on that kind of work, I know our high school has a tech center, and I know other schools are, but it really feels like it's pushed like towards electrical poultry industry really seems to be the driver, I mean, the money driver. But do we have any, because, I mean, I think we pay well. We have a good benefit package. Are we connected at all? Do we ever talk to the high school out there? Or,
Yeah,
I know you guys do that, but.
Yeah, the high school, I mean, they visit the wastewater plant and the water plant quite a bit. I'm not sure if they've ever visited like the water distribution and collection groups. And I've used to be pretty acquainted with the instructor. I've talked before about, hey man, you need to really push our industry and send some youngins our way and train up in this industry. It just never materialized, so.
Anyone else? Brad, you were done? Sir. Anyone else? Turned into the Lisa and Brad show. I mean, no one else is asking any questions. Well, Betsy, you asked one.
I threw one in for Phil.
Mindy don't feel good.
Anyone else?
Enough.
Let's move to wastewater.
The wastewater revenues begin on page 64. Again, the increases are based on the rates. But I will say that through August, sales were up 9% over prior year, which is why there is such a significant increase. Administration expenses begin on page 65. Personnel costs increased with the addition of the technical services manager. And operations decreased due to no longer having credit card fees. Also, the debt was paid in full this year, so it's not budgeted for next year. In the plant, personnel costs include the raise, but turnover has lowered overall cost. And operations declined mainly due to utilities and depreciation. On page 67, the decrease in personnel includes the raise and the reclassification of 2 equipment operators, and that is part of the Scrivener's error, so we will get that changed. It is actually going to be 1 water plant operator and the technician from the water services. Capital outlay is listed on page 68, and budgeted positions are on page 63 again. They're combined with the water because a lot of those expenses are split between the departments.
Yes. Yes,
Same
Director
question.
Rissler. Go right ahead.
Same question as I asked the last department since page 63 is, oh, it's the same, okay. On page 64, on interest income, is this due to lower reserve balance? Or is it lower interest rates, or is it transfer of reserve funds?
Most of it is lower due to lower interest. As we are rolling over our CDs, the rates are going down.
Okay, so it's lower interest rates.
Yes.
And on page 65, transfer to other funds, what fund is this transferring to and what's driving the increase?
General fund and the increase in utility sale revenue. It's only that line item.
The what?
Sales.
Sales, okay. And then, and again, the increase in the benefits is because of the selections that they made. On page 67, the 50,000 for professional fees, what's included in that professional fees? Is that the engineering fees that they pay, are they paying the street department? Are we hiring an engineer outside? Or is that internal?
Let me look at that page, hold on. Page 60?
7.
60.
And it might not even be engineering. I mean, is it attorney? Is it engineering? What kind of professional fees is it?
Well, if it was the internal engineering fees, it would say engineering services.
Okay.
So
it says
this is for
professionals.
professional fees.
Okay.
Vice Mayor,
Yes.
professional fees in recent history has been used for like the smoke testing we've been doing in sewer basins. So usually those are done by an engineering firm or a firm, much like a consulting firm, much like an engineering firm that will come in and do assessments on our system.
I see the truck replacement at 55,000, which is a reasonable price. How is it that some departments can have a reasonable price and then some of them can $100,000 for a 4x4 pickup? You just know how to go find the right one, right, Josh? Is this a new truck or a used truck?
It's a used truck. I would say most other departments just have bigger trucks. Ours is, just your standard quad cab or crew cab, 4-wheel drive, but that's not what every department needs, so.
But this is not a new one you're getting?
Oh, yeah, it's new, baby.
Oh, it is one?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I thought you said used, I'm sorry.
No.
Any other questions?
Vice Mayor?
Yes,
I
Brad.
have to continue this. So sewer line root control. So do we do anything after that? So, you go in and remove the root. Are we getting seepage? Because the root came through the line. We clear the line, but it really,
Yeah, frankly, it depends on the funds available at any given time. So there's a lot of things you can do, with, lining cured in place pipe, epoxy lining, polyurea lining, replacement pipe bursting. There's a number of things you can do. It just all depends on what we have available at the time to spend on it.
do we have the capability after we run it through, clear the line, then do we scope it?
Yes, sir. Our staff has a camera truck, CCTV truck, all the necessary equipment for that. Yep.
You can interrupt us. And then the other one was the general line extension of 59, which, I brought up a concern at the, I voiced that the annexation is passed. I agree. Now that it's passed, it makes sense for that future growth. Having said that, do you see with that extension, is there that much gravity flow? Will we ever need a lift station out there as we expand and take on more capacity?
Yeah, I would say never. Right now, I think we're okay, but I can't see into the future. I don't know what.
I just think of, fire hydrology, I have a restricted line, and once I make the line bigger, there's gonna be more flow, and then you're gonna have to,
Yeah.
that's what I'm
Yeah,
just wondering.
As of right now, there's plenty of gravity flow out there to get it where it needs to go. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you, Josh. Next one is the solid waste.
Solid waste revenues begin on page 69. Revenues increased based on an audit of dumpster fees and growth, plus the increase in rates. Expenses begin on page 70. Personnel costs reflect the raise in healthcare elections offset by turnover, resulting in lower wages. Operations are in line with prior year. Landfill fees increased, but there are no credit card fees, and lower depreciation offset the increase. Debt service is up slightly over prior year, and that is because I believe we are going to be turning over those vehicle leases. Capital outlay is listed on page 71, and budgeted positions are on page 72.
Vice Mayor?
Yes. Director Rissler.
On the recycling income, Jason, didn't we recently, I thought we were increasing our revenue on recycling. Has that dropped? What's, because I
So
thought the conversation when we got the balers, that we would be increasing revenue.
we did, but unfortunately, the tariffs happened. So what happens with that is we can't sell outside of the United States anymore. So everything has to be done within the United States. So what happens is the markets get flooded. And in our area, our PET and our plastic bottles have went from, a moderate 10 cents to 15 cents a pound to less than a penny a pound. So that's where that's reflected at.
Trump.
So, as we've done the study and we've visited in West Virginia or wherever we went, the recycling program. Are they selling their recycling to a specific waste-to-energy company? What?
They're in the northern market, so it's different than our Midwest market. So the sales of those commodities don't go to the same place. So in our market with our broker, we're in the Midwest, so we're kind of limited on where we can take our materials. The further I take it, there may be more money, but there's going to be more costs associated with that sale of the product.
And you said the tariffs, we can't sell outside the U.S. anymore, and you specifically listed plastic. What about the balers that do cardboard?
Cardboard's great. Cardboard's still doing very well. Aluminum's doing well. Steel's doing well. It's the plastics that's really hurting us. At one point, HDPE and PET were doing quite well, and we produce a large volume of both of those. But like I said, when I talked with the broker the other day, they had one plant that had burned down, another one shut down, so it leaves one plant in our area to take the plastics, and they've got so much that they really don't want it. So selling the plastics is a little bit more problematic than it was a year ago. So
So are we still on track of payback on the balers in a 3-year period?
no.
How off track are we?
I think it really depends. Depends on how the market rebounds. I'm hoping we get a good rebound and we can pay them off in 5, 6, 7 years maybe. But this market's different than what I've ever dealt with. I'm used to a very set, stable market, and it's not been set or stable in almost a year and a half now.
Okay. On page 71, on the, the grant-funded projects, the recycling roll-off containers, is this a guaranteed?
Mm-hmm.
It's not, okay. And remind us where we're getting that grant.
The grant for the recycling materials is going to be for the multifamily. So apartments will now be able to recycle through this grant, and we'll have,
Who's it from?
oh my God, the recycling partnership.
And then on page 71, our waste-to-energy study. We've done the study. Do we have any updates?
Yes, there is some updates on that. I have 3 companies that are interested. 2 of them are going to merge together. They're going to give us a proposal. They're looking to pay for the plant themselves, and then we will do a private-public partnership that I could bring to the board for your approval or denial. So.
Okay. So the partnership would be, we would provide them the material, and they would operate here.
Basically, what they would do is they would build the plant. They would bring in the MSW, which is the municipal solid waste, and wood chips and C&D, commercial and demolition. That would come into this facility. That facility, they would take the tipping fees is what they would like to do, and then we would collect the electricity off of it is the negotiation that I'm trying to work with them now. With that being said, what they would like to do is see a regional MRF on the front end of that, which is basically what we went and seen at in Norfolk. That price for that kind of MRF would be somewhere around $50 million at the most. There's several grants for MRFs in the area. Recycling's huge, so there is an organization, I'd really hate to say their name right now because I don't want to scare them off, but there is an organization that is willing to help fund part of this, and I'm just waiting for confirmation on that as well.
So they would get, like, our recycling and stuff like that?
Yes, ma'am.
And so when we did the study, one of my questions was, and I never quite understood the answer, so I'm going to ask it again, see if I can get a better understanding. So the idea is that when we went to West Virginia, they had all this trash, and no matter what, it was all mixed,
Right.
and it sorted it.
Right.
And the idea is that that's what would happen to our trash, and it would go to that facility, and that facility would use it
Yes.
to make electricity.
Correct.
Well, my question at that meeting was, then we should be able to, so there's an issue with the dump in Tonytown.
Correct.
And I've been to those meetings, I've heard those people's stories that live in that area. Why would we not at that point, at some point, be able to take that trash and put it into that system?
You can. Now, what you have to be careful of is how long that waste has been sitting there. Okay, so longer it sets, the more it breaks down, and you're collecting mud and trash and have to set it into a facility like that. That's going to be hard to separate out. But you can send that kind of stuff to an incinerator, a full incinerator. So it just really depends on, one, how old the MSW and how old the waste is, how much has been broke down, how much moisture has been collected in that, and how long that's going to take for the drying process before you put it into a system.
Any detection, because it's an automated detection.
Correct.
And with the mud on it, okay.
Correct.
I did not get that answer last time I asked that question,
Yes,
so it makes sense, and I appreciate you answering that. My last question is on page 72, and again, why are we having a hard time keeping staff?
Because it's a dirty job.
It is a dirty job. It's also a CDL job. It's hard to hire somebody with a CDL for $20 an hour. It's difficult. So what I have to do a lot of times is find virgin drivers, train them myself, because I'm not going to get a CDL driver to pick up trash or recycling for $20 an hour. It's difficult. That is one reason. And it is a hard job. They're in the elements. If it's raining, they're in the rain. If it's cold, they're in the cold. If it's hot, they're in the heat. There's no way to get around it. So,
Most of them have been automated, though, like if you pick up my trash. We just
correct.
watched it the other day.
Now, that's one driver or two drivers out of the whole sanitation department.
And so the rest is the recycling picking up by hand.
Right. You got the knuckle boom truck that's picking up brush. They got to get out of the truck, operate it from the back. You have your rear load trucks. They have to get out and service the dumpsters. You have your recyclers. They're obviously out in it. So there's several positions that are out in the elements.
So if we go to this waste to energy, and I know we're not supposed to be calling it that, but if we go to this, the recycling can just be almost picked up like the trash service, because it doesn't matter that it's mixed because it's an automated separation.
So I will be bringing the board a grant here in the next few months with a discussion that I would like to have with the board about looking at single stream recycling. The single stream recycling is cart-based recycling. It's not source separated at the curb like what we're doing. The grant that I have been offered through the city would pay for a truck outright 100% and some of the carts as well. Ballpark on that was $700,000 are willing to give the city of Siloam if we were to move to single stream recycling. I'm just waiting for the grant details to come through on that, and then I'll be presenting that.
You say it would provide one truck. How many trucks would be needed to transfer from the type of recycling? We would only need one for our whole city.
Just for now, just for right now, that's all we would need.
I think
Now,
one of the biggest things I hear from citizens is they remember when we used to get our trash picked up twice a week and our recycling picked up twice a week. Now we're down to one a week. And then there's been conversations, should we have cleanup, should we not have cleanup? And people feel like they're getting less service for more money.
Right.
And so that would be awesome even for the person that recycles, because we recycle in our house.
correct.
but then I don't have to spend so much time sorting.
Right, it's, the other thing too is the volume, okay? So what you're going to get is an increase in volume, which is obviously going to be an increase in revenue. But until we have a facility that we can separate that out, there will be a cost associated with it, with a tipping fee of that. So that's the conversation that we would have to have if we were to accept this truck, even though it's close to $1 million worth of carts and a truck, there still would be a cost associated with that. I'm hoping that maybe having just that one driver instead of two, we'll be able to offset that cost and be able to pick that up as well until we come up with a solution for a MRF.
Thank you,
Yes,
appreciate
ma'am.
it.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Betsy?
I just wanted to say thank you for all your work on the MRF and the companies you're talking to. I think that'd be a wonderful thing for the environment, for another source of income, which we desperately need.
Yes, ma'am.
I know you've been doing a lot of work behind the scenes, and thank you. And one other thing I wanted to thank you for is the dumpsters and getting all that organized. I know, especially that first year, that was a huge job, and what a mess.
Yes, ma'am.
So thank you for taking care of that.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Vice Mayor?
Yes, Brad?
I had to let Director Blair go. We got out of sync there. Sorry, we had a question. I'm joking.
My apologies.
So I sent you some emails, and I want to be transparent to the rest of the board. I just think of my time so far with the city, from Dan LaBelle trash time to where we are today, and to Director Fuller, James, which I apologized to the family because he was adamant about the twice-a-week pickup, right? And then we went automated and yada, yada. And we do give senior discounts, and we do things, and we addressed a lot of questions. I'm excited about the cart. I think I like the concept of recycling. I think trying to educate the community to recycle is difficult.
It
as
is.
you well know.
Yes, sir.
But did Fayetteville go to a cart system?
They are transitioning to a cart system. So the same company that is offering me this grant is the same one that offered them a grant as well. What they're trying to do is uniformity across the district. So if you live in Springdale, your trash and recycling would be the exact same as in Siloam, Fayetteville. Basically, they want to streamline everybody to be the same. So their hopes with that is that the education would be the same from town to town as far as what we take, what we don't take. So that's the idea behind it, is getting the entire region on the same page, doing the same thing. They're offering quite a bit of money for this. This is the same company I'm also talking with about a regional MRF as well. So there is a scope of work that is going out for a regional MRF. We have expressed the interest that we would like to have the regional MRF here. And there's debates on what's the best location, and with the bypass coming in, that has now changed, and they're looking at us more for that. So it could be a very good thing for the city of Siloam Springs.
So on top of that, I as we go down this journey, which started before I became on the board, but, you know, I had my ear to the ground in your last presentation, and the pushback we got from truck traffic with the development that we weren't able to land.
Yes, sir.
I still feel, you know, it's going to have to be a different location.
Oh, totally,
Okay.
absolutely. I
All
totally
right, so
agree.
so we got
Yeah.
that out of the way.
Yes, sir.
Thirdly is, last Saturday, I got a text from a guy that lives in the county bringing he's a chicken guy. And he's waiting in the sanitation line, and he was bored. And so I really didn't pay much attention, but on that particular Saturday, it was maybe last Saturday, Saturday before last, there were trucks lined up. When you had the gate up, there was a double line of trucks and trailer, backed up.
Yep.
And there's an hour wait.
That's,
That's the volume that we're getting on a Saturday. So,
Yes.
and we're increasing rates,
yes,
correct?
sir.
can we increase more and get greedy? Because apparently they're still coming. I
So-
mean, I don't know.
That's actually what we did, as Christina and I sat down with the company, our rate study company. I want to focus more on the scale house fees, which is the fees coming in. That, to me, is where we need to increase the most. We're cheaper than the landfill, so everybody's driving past the landfill to come to us to dump. And then we turn around taking it to the landfill. So we need to increase that quite a bit. That's what's really killing us. And we have increased it some, but we're still the cheapest in the region.
And when I saw that, I just saw a revenue stream.
You're absolutely right.
And, whether, some of these guys and,
Yes,
they have money,
yes, sir.
but they're not using card.
Yep.
Are we impacted by card services at all?
So, cards is no longer cards. Cards got bought out.
Okay.
There's two companies that have taken cards, and there's some kind of a larger umbrella company over those two companies. This just happened within the last month. Most people don't even know about it. I'm not sure what's going to happen with the cards company moving forward. I'm not even sure who bought them. They've been pretty tight-lipped about it. I know it's a company out of Florida, but I'm not familiar with them. It's a tricky question. The problem with privatizing businesses like cards is they get bought out all the time. So trash companies start up, they make a lot of money. Big companies like Waste Management come in, swoop them up, dismantle them, keep the contract. More often than not, they don't want the competition. So I'm not really sure what's going to happen with cards holdings.
All right.
moving
Well, I
forward.
saw them in town. I was just curious if they were dumping at ours, but I would just encourage you to pursue that weekend revenue.
Yes, sir.
Did the landfill get their extension in Tawnytown?
So
Is that still up in the air?
the way the Arkansas Department of Environmental Quality rules are written is the host city, Tawnytown, has the ability to approve or deny any permits through their planning commission. What happened before the mayor got there, it went to the planning commission, the planning commission approved it, the city council denied it. So it was a big legal battle. They had to go with, since the planning commission approved it, they had to adopt it. So that's what your extension is for right now. But they have said that they will not approve any more extensions moving forward. So we've got that 7 to 10 year is what they're touting. So we'll see where that's at. It just depends on regional growth, but they're estimating 7 years. I think it's going to be closer to 5, to be honest with you. And a lot of that, to me, is the growth that they are touting that we're going to see is not the same regional growth that everybody else is touting that we'll have. So the regional growth that I've heard is we're looking at over 1 million people in the next 25 years. Waste Management's not counting that the same as we are. So I think it's a little trickery. I'm saying 5 years is what I'm guessing. They're saying 7 to 10.
It gives us
It gives us
time to
time.
work on.
Yes, sir.
On waste energy. And
Yes,
then
sir.
you spoke of doing the electrical side.
Yes, sir.
And in the past, GRDA allows us to do 20%. And we had conversations in the past about solar.
Yes, sir.
So would this count for 20%?
It would.
Because it's green.
Right.
Same
And
concept, right?
I spoke with Phil about this as well. GRDA, he spoke with GRDA. GRDA is hoping that we do something because they don't want to have to build another substation in between. So it would help them out as much as it would help the city of Siloam.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Vice Mayor,
Yes, Ken?
Christine, I may not have understood you correctly, but what did you say about the leases on his equipment?
Oh, some of them had a 2-year payout, and I believe we're going to release.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah. If you'll look on page sorry, Ken. If you'll look at page, I've lost my page. It's the page above it. There's a line item that says the lease on there.
Well, there is a line that says lease trucks.
Yeah, I spoke with Kim about this as well, and she showed me where it was at on there. I misread that as well, and it is on, it says lease payment principal on page 70.
Okay. The only reason I was asked, because after, the police department swears by their leases, and it's a way of rotating vehicles and saving money, and I know that that's been a conversation in the past. I just wanted to make sure that
Well,
I understood where that was, if we were or weren't.
Yes, sir. And this is another reason why they have 2 less mechanics as well, is because they're not spending as much time on working on sanitation trucks
Okay.
as they did in the past.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor.
Yes, Reed?
Jason, I think I've heard you say a little bit about this. I know when you were talking about regionalizing sanitation, what have you.
Yes, sir.
And I've heard you say the word MRF, or I think that's what I heard anyway.
Yes, sir.
Is that dealing with collaboration with other communities, or?
So there's options. Yeah, I mean, we have so many options that we can do. We can do a lot of different things. What we're trying to do is to get as much as we can grant-wise and free money to do it ourselves. If we can't get to that point, then we can look at a partnership with another city for a MRF. And just so everybody's aware, a MRF stands for Material Recycling Facility, just so everybody's on the same page. But this recycling that we would be collecting would be from the region coming to our facility.
Hey, well, from what I'm seeing, because I was one of the ones that got to go to Norfolk
Yes, sir.
along with you all, and was glad to be able to experience that. But it looks to me like with the growth that we're seeing in this part of the state, that we don't have really an option of saying we're an island and we'll
Right.
take care of ourselves.
Right.
We're going to have to collaborate in order to
Absolutely.
meet the need of what is coming to us, especially if the current dump being in a very precarious position of being legal, not legal.
Yes, sir.
At any time. Within your proposal here, are we hedging toward that direction at all, or?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. We're looking at around 1,000 tons a day is what we're trying to accomplish with this facility. And with the companies that I spoke to, one of them wants to do much more than 1,000. The other one is realistic with 1,000 tons per day. For example, Siloam does around 250 tons to 300 tons a day at the highest. Fayetteville does around 400 tons a day. So if you were to take just Fayetteville, Siloam, and maybe a couple small towns, you're at 1,000 tons right there. So as much as we're trying to do, we're still only talking about a fraction of the solid waste that would be diverted from the landfill over the entire region. So, and that's also with that $300 million price tag with that as well. So if these companies want to expand, which one of them has the ability to expand very easily, the other one they're 2 completely different systems doing the exact same thing, okay? It's just different designs from these companies. One's a pelletizer, which would turn your waste into pellets just like you put into your stove or whatever. They'll use that for a fuel derivative, create electricity. They're more interested in creating alternative fuels. So PET, again, can be turned into gasoline. So a lot of companies are taking PET, melting them down, and creating a byproduct of fuel. That's what he's wanting to do because there's more money in it. Just like if we were to do jet fuel out of the recycling materials, there'd be a much higher revenue for that, but there's also a higher cost associated with making that, those gases. So,
Thank you.
absolutely.
Anyone else? I will say, Jason, even though the balers are not going to pay off as estimated, it was still a good investment in that it makes things so much easier on our staff.
You're absolutely right, Vice Mayor. It's the way that they were having to do it before. You know, I think some people may not have seen the clips, but they were laying on the ground in trash trying to tie recycling bills, and it was.
I apologize if you talked about this a minute ago, but it looks like on our capital outlay, we're going to replace the transfer station floor.
Yes, sir.
Is that concrete? Are we going to tear it up, or what are we going to do?
Yes, sir. Typically, a transfer station floor that's producing over 200 tons will last around 7 years to 10 years. This transfer station floor, as far as I know, is the original.
Yeah.
What is happening at that transfer station floor is there's craters that are starting to come up. I've got rebar coming through. When that liquid leachate gets in between that concrete, it just starts lifting up, and now you've got a bigger problem. It's a mix of concrete and silica fume, and there's a very high recipe that we need to follow to keep that dense and still porous at the same time.
I was around when it was built, and I was going to say, I don't think it's ever been replaced.
Yeah,
So
it's in pretty rough shape.
I think that's actually a fairly good price to get a new floor for as
And-
big a building as it is.
It's a lot of it too. Is I don't need the engineering for it because I've already got the recipe.
Yeah.
So that's saving us quite a bit of money on that as well.
The semi-truck, we're buying a new one.
This is a replacement of a semi truck that was totaled out
Oh.
in a flood, and this is going to replace that.
Okay.
So we'll use some of our insurance money that we collected from that, and then pay for the rest of it.
I apologize if you talked about this before. Why is it that we had the leases in '24, but now they're not this next year?
I will be bringing those to you.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right.
We've got to get the negotiations for that, and I can bring that to you once we have that.
Anyone else? Any other questions? Thank you, Jason.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Next is streets.
Street
Page
revenue.
77.
Begins on page 77, and revenues decreased mainly due to tax receipts being lower than budgeted in 2025. Now, the good news is that the last couple of months, our sales tax has seen a bit of a turnaround. I assume it's due to the restaurants opening. Expenses begin on page 78. Personnel decreases reflect the raise and lower wages from employee turnover. Operations are up slightly, mainly due to increased insurance costs related to workers' comp for engineering. Capital outlay is listed on page 79 and 80, and budgeted positions are on page 81.
Vice Mayor?
Yes, Director Risk.
On the street repairs, what is included in this? Is the mill and overlays not street repairs? Because I know we have those as capital.
Vice Mayor,
This way.
yeah. Street repairs are predominantly like pothole repairs. Most of that money goes towards fixing potholes and things like that.
Okay.
Usually, if we're going to do a mill and overlay project, it's a capital project.
Okay, and then I asked this at the board meeting, but I'm going to ask it here because this is the more appropriate place to be asking it. Why is there no capital sidewalks funding in 2026 when provision for the previous years had 300,000? And then we didn't even spend the 300,000, and why did we not spend the 300,000? Why did we only spend partial?
Christina, do you?
So we had a conversation the other day, mainly part of the reason that there was nothing included in the current year budget, as we previously discussed, had to do with the fact that it was part of the city engineer that would put that amount in there. And I believe the reason it all wasn't spent this year is because we don't have anything engineered ready to go. However, we had a discussion the other day with Streets and the engineer and Josh and I, and we are going to bring back a proposed change to the budget to add money back in there, but what we believe we're going to do is request funds to get some of these sidewalk projects engineered
Okay,
so that we can start on them. We will still be able to put 50,000 into sidewalks elsewhere around town.
right, I noticed.
And then get some of the bigger sidewalk projects engineering started.
Okay.
Didn't we say we could tap the money in quality of life for sidewalk? Didn't we say that the other day? That,
That's where I was going to lead,
Yeah.
because you knew that's where I was going to lead, because
Yes.
I've said it about 20 times.
Yes, we
Oh, we
can
said
for
that.
capital improvement projects only. So I know that we have talked a little bit about what quality of life can be used for, but as I went back and looked at the wording in the ordinance, it's for capital improvement projects
But
related to.
Sidewalks is listed on the
Yes.
ballot initiative.
So just repairs to a sidewalk wouldn't qualify,
Right.
but
And I
a
didn't
new
think so.
sidewalk would.
Right.
And we've got several that were lined up to be engineered. They just haven't been engineered yet. And once they're engineered, we can build them.
And so you are going to take it out of the quality of life?
I will
You're gonna
propose
request and
that
not
the
streets.
engineering be, for those streets, be taken out of the quality of life for the 2026 budget, yes.
Okay, and I also requested about the agenda, putting on the agenda for this last year for the $100 and something thousand. Because the more money that we can have in streets, the more repairs we can do on streets. And if we're taking sidewalks, which the voters voted that could come out of quality of life, and we're taking it out of streets, we're doing less streets. And so, and that has been a topic of conversation, that we have let our streets get so behind that we need to catch them up. Is the $50,000 repair, I guess, it's just the repairs. I was going to ask for the ADA trip hazards and aging sidewalks, and that is being taken care of.
That is correct.
Okay, and we discussed it the other night, that when we were putting in these sidewalks, we're allowing mailboxes to be put in them. How is that compliant with ADA? Because have you noticed some of them are pretty narrow?
I actually am not sure about that. That might be more of a Chris question, but I believe, depending on what the rules were when they were built, are you talking about new places or are you talking about older places? Because we don't have any requirement or any mandate to go back and change what was correct at the time.
Why are we allowing new sidewalks? And we have, I think, didn't they build a sidewalk out by you? And why are we allowing mailboxes in the middle, in the sidewalks?
Vice Mayor,
because where else are you going to put the sidewalk?
I asked that question because they do take up a lot of the sidewalk.
Move the mailbox to the other side.
And Josh may know better than me. I think it's a U.S. Postal Service regulation where the mailboxes have to go.
That's the same thing.
And the sidewalks were already on the south side.
And we have,
Did you get the same answer, Brett? It's a U.S. Postal Service regulation.
I turned a deaf ear because we couldn't solve it. I moved on.
so going to the
Yeah,
post office, have we had
the
conversations
mailboxes
with
have
the post
to be
office?
so far off the road for the
I
mail
believe that
trucks.
this situation arose before my time, so I don't know the answer to that.
Okay, that's fine. And
But they are on one side of the street already. And when they put a new sidewalk on that south side, and there's no way they could have put it on the north, they had to put it on the south because the north side is not in the city limit.
And there's even guidelines as to the width from the road. It's all.
They put my mailbox and all the other ones in the sidewalk. They had no choice. There was no other place to put the sidewalk. If they put it on the other side of the sidewalk, the mailman
wasn't
couldn't, the
worried.
mail person couldn't
I
get
didn't
to
want
it.
to move the sidewalk, I wanted to move your mailbox across the street.
But I'm saying that's not possible, so,
Is there not other mailboxes on that side of the
nope,
street?
there's not.
Not one?
Nope.
Wow.
The people on the north side have to walk across the street to get their mail.
Okay, and I think we touched on this, but I want to make sure because it's during budget time, I want to have it in the budget conversation. Is the sidewalk master plan, we don't even have one. I mean, is it completed? Is it, what is the city's long-term plan for sidewalk expansions?
That was part of our conversation the other day that Christina referred to. The plan is technically good through 2026. And me and Brent, Dennis, others have a plan to get that updated in the coming year.
And we'll be getting that soon.
We will start on it soon. It's not even been started yet. No. I mean, the gap between not having the city engineer and, those sorts of things kind of put us behind on some of those, but we're eager to get it up to date. So, yeah.
Vice Mayor?
Yes, Brad.
Oh, sorry.
Nope.
No, I don't want to break the chain, Director Blair. Please, by all means.
Well, I go by who I heard first.
Okay, I'm going.
If she said anything, I didn't hear it.
So
I'm sorry,
I'm
Director Blair.
excited that that connectivity plan is there, and it needs revised, just like the street master plan. We're just at that time. The question I sent you, and I want everybody else to know, the crosswalk at Lincoln Ballpark, the only reason I question that is because it's not part of the walking trail. And the walking trail has, we do the turkey trot, we do cross country, and the other one, and I'm all for churches to excess flowing, but I'm a walker, and it's really a connectivity piece to nowhere, to be honest with you, other than to Sager. And I know we don't have money for it, but it needs to somewhere be out there on the radar, just because I know that one's heavily used. And then the second one was the potholes. So we had a workshop at the first of the year. That city administrator is no longer here. And then I kind of feel like it just kind of fell through. And we talked about RDOT, and then it's kind of vague on that. And then I work a little bit on the corridor. I won't name the city, but they have a pothole truck. I mean, and it's set up, to address doing potholes. And so one of the complaints from citizens that for streets is, we do a poor job, they don't last long. And so, and that's what I asked you, my thoughts are, my understanding with RDOT is they do a cutout, they do a fill base, and then they do a hot patch on top of that and roll it out. And we would do less potholes, but they would last longer. So, your thoughts, sir?
Yeah, my thoughts are the type of patch that you can do is largely dependent on temperature. So in order to lay hot mix or hot asphalt, you have to be at like 45 degrees and rising in order to do that. And obviously that only really allows you, from spring, if it's an early spring, great, but we'll say April to, September, October, maybe. November this year was kind of crazy, but, and then other than that, those asphalt plants are even shut down because there's just not enough work that's going to be done when those temperatures aren't correct. I have looked at the RDOT standards, and they basically say the same thing. If it's outside of those temperature parameters, then they're going to do a throw and go, which is basically throw that cold mix in there, pat it down, or roll it, or tamper it in some way, move on, and then it go on the list to come back when the temperatures and all that is right to fix it with hot mix. That was probably one of the first conversations I had with the street crew, and there is a asphalt reclaimer in the budget as a capital item. That's going to allow us to reuse our own millings from all these mill and overlay projects to reheat and reuse. So it'll pay for itself over time. But then the other part of that conversation was being way more intentional about how we're fixing potholes, cutting out the square, making sure that the subgrade is correct, building it back up if necessary, even if you do cut a square, make sure it's square, not a weird shape that kind of looks like a square. Make sure it looks good, roll it, do it the right way. But yeah, the type of repair is largely dependent on just what's going on with the temperatures of the weather at any given time, so.
My answer, and by the way, the people that complain of that are usually older gentlemen, because that's what coffee shop guys do. But we could say, we have a solution, and for proper repair, it's seasonal.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, we have a solution by getting the asphalt reclaimer, but I think a large part of that solution is the fact that the staff wants to do it right. So, yeah, there's a solution, definitely.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions or comments?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Director Blair Finn. You're up.
So it sounds like we're going to be throwing more and more money at streets, which that's great. But we can throw all the money in the world, and if you don't have the staff to handle it, or contract it out, or what's that going to look like? And I know you can't say because exactly for sure, but do you see what I'm asking?
Yeah, great question. That was also kind of a part of our conversation yesterday was, at what point do we need to create another crew, hire 3 or 4 more people to supplement some of this work, plus the sidewalk work, with the street department also does all that work. I mean, the answer for some of these shorter stretches or longer stretches on bigger projects may be we have to contract it out, but obviously that's going to change the cost of a project significantly. So I guess the answer now is that those are things we're looking at and definitely on our radar, but for 2026, we're going to do as much as we can with what we got. So.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? I've got quite a few, but I want to give everybody else first shot. Mindy, Ken, Reed, anything? Josh, you ready for some questions? We've got all the lists of streets on here. Well, my feeling on not enough money has been spent on replacing signage. The mast arm street signing is $20,000 from this last year. And I think we need to allocate more money to replacement of signs. There are so many signs that are faded, cracked, sun has faded them out, and just overall need replaced. And it's not just in one certain part, it's all over the city. And I've heard in the past, the reason why was because there wasn't enough money in the budget. And my argument is then ask for more money in the budget. Because I have never in my life seen our street signs as poor as they are today. Unreadable, illegible, faded to the point that it looks like a white sign. And it's just been from overall lack of paying attention to them. And I think we've got a new handle on it with Josh being in charge. He's agreed with me that, and he's been looking at them. I also see the street striping is only $20,000, and I can assure you there are streets all over town that the street striping has faded, it's disappeared, and we've just tended to ignore it. And we've got to get back on that as well. Some of it's crosswalks, but many of it is the center line. On the and I'm looking at page 79, about 6 lines down, Kenwood Street, Mount Olive to Washington, 1.2 million. We talked about that earlier this year and said that it was not going to be done because it was not enough of a problem street. Did it actually get done after all?
It got mill and overlay done, yes. I think that 1.2 was more of a rebuild situation, like full rebuild situation. And it was a notch and widening, actually. It was a notch and widening project. And they brought an amended list and just included it as a mill and overlay for now.
Okay, well, it still says 1.2 million. The, 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 it still says 1.2 it was asked about 6 or 7 months ago and was told that no, whoever it was, Kevin or whoever, had gone back and looked at it and said, yeah, you're right, it doesn't need it, we're going to take it off. But apparently it did not get taken off. Going down the list, it looks like, just for the public to know, we spent between the Bird Streets at 1.5 million and the Sager Creek Drive at just under $1 million. You know, that whole project altogether was nearly $2 million, well, over $2 million. And it was needed because those streets were concrete. They were built as a housing addition poorly. They were built as concrete streets or cement streets instead of asphalt. They have, which is the wrong kind of material, everybody knows. But many developers in the 70s did that, and they've never held up, and they needed to be redone. But I'm just saying that certainly cost us a big chunk of change on our street budget. Some of the others, I'm going to say what they say in big city government. I'm going to reserve the right to return to this list because when we get to the point of approving the budget, I think the board as a whole needs to go and physically look at all of these streets and determine what should be and should not be. I suggested years ago that our board take field trips to actually decide the street list because it is the biggest argument, complaint we have from the public, and yet never do we deny a street to what is requested. I think we have a new sheriff in town, and Josh Napier. I think it's going to be a complete change in how things are done, and I appreciate your openness and to communication and listening to the board, Josh, a great deal. But I think there are streets that are on the list, as I pointed out the other day, the non-thoroughfare dead-end streets in Ravenwood, the Pickwick, the some of the other ones that have been overlaid, and we could say, oh, it's only 50,000, it's only 30,000, under the budget requirement to come to the board. Overall, when you look at that entire package of streets in Ravenwood, it should have come to the board for approval because it was a major project, not just in the cost of the materials and everything, but the amount of cost of our crew, the opportunity costs of taking our crew off of another important street to go do these streets. And as I said, these are residential streets. Many of them are dead end, 10 to 12 houses on them, and it makes zero sense to be replacing streets that really don't have a major problem. Now, where the Ravenwood sign is as you go in, that has been a problem, so I understand if that's where the Ravenwood Boulevard mill and overlay and the Ravenwood Plaza needs redone. But I would encourage the board to go and look at all of these because it seems like a lot of these got added, changed because of friends of staff made favors or whatever, somebody's brother-in-law's cousin or something, because none of these were on the original list for last year and they're not even on here now. The Ravenwood Boulevard and Plaza is the only one all the other ones are not listed. But the Twin Springs, the Roderick Circle, the Jefferson, Wright Street, Christie Lane, Carl Street, I think the board as a whole needs to take the time to go and just confirm. I will tell you the Heartland Drive is next to the fire department between the Children's Center and it is severely in need, mainly because of the entire center line is just nothing but potholes. Chief, you're nodding your head. You know what I'm talking about. And even when we fill them, it doesn't take long and it's just something to do with the way the street was originally built. But it needs it. It's severely in need of of redoing, because it is what I call a thoroughfare. It wasn't thought it would be when it was first, but it has turned into one because it's like cutting off a shortcut for people. But I'm just encouraging the board to look at all I know the Oak Crest, thank goodness it's on here. We have so many complaints. It's only half in the city is why it's not been done. Half on the north side is the county, and so we've been able to use that as an excuse not to do it. But thank goodness we're finally gonna take care of it. And my goodness gracious, the Family Aquatic Center parking lot has for 10 to 12 years at least been a crumbled mess because it was concrete instead of asphalt when it was built. So, I mean, that's going to be a lot of money, but it is desperately needed. So I'm glad that that's on there as well. Just looking, what else? As we were just saying, as Betsy just said, the streets, of course, they do need more money, and I think we need to consider all of that when we're discussing in our workshop about the allocation of the sales tax. The question I got, Josh, is, once again, we're buying more trucks. Half-ton, extended cab trucks, small pickup, quad cab, and yet every year we're buying more pickups. For 25 budget, it just says vehicles, $40,000. It doesn't say what it is. And in 24, 3/4 ton 4x4 pickup, Mack Anthem day cab truck. Tell me, what is a day cab truck? I remember this was discussed at one time and everybody was like, why does anybody need a day cab truck? I understand a day cab truck has a cab in the back for sleeping. That's what I thought. Is that not right, Chief? You're shaking your head. Is that not what a day cab truck, do you know?
Well, this truck was,
Chief Miller was shaking his head.
oh, you know. Go for it.
Yeah, day cab trucks are classified as just like the single cab, two-seater trucks, is what DOT classifies as a day cab.
It's a what now? Say
A
that?
day cab truck is just a two-seater cabbed truck.
Yeah.
Oh, like a semi-truck.
Yeah,
Yes.
Like a non-overnight type situation.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, it doesn't
No
have a
sleeping
sleeper in
cab.
the back.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's not
okay.
a sleeper berth
So
truck.
this isn't a pickup?
No.
Which I had been told at the time this was a pickup with a sleeper. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense.
No,
But now I see what you're saying. It's like a semi, but only for,
yeah, I'm sure the board has seen the blue semi day cab that's pulling around equipment rollers and stuff like that. I believe this is that.
it's not like a normal big-time semi. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Okay, thank you for distinguishing that. You know, you hear people complain, they see the budget online, and they're like, whoa, and they get to spreading stuff that's not true, so thank you so much. Anyway, it just seems like we're always buying more pickup trucks and half-ton extended cab trucks, and I get it on the one-ton truck with the dump body. I get that. And I am glad you're doing the asphalt reclaimer. I saw that is important, I think. And we're getting a new street striping machine. Is it because the old one is no good, or?
It's still good and just, it's getting old and it
Yeah.
has its fair share of issues, so.
We all have that.
Just to give staff kudos, that asphalt reclaimer was actually an item that Kevin Allen, or Foreman, I think, had found and has done an incredible amount of work figuring that thing out. Actually had a supplier come out, had a whole like half a day training with our staff, went out and did some patchwork as like a demo and was really impressed with it. But kudos to Kevin and Dennis they've been working on that months, even before I've been in the position.
Well, I just wanted to give you a heads up that between now and the budget approval, I'm going to go drive all these streets, and I encourage the board to do it the same, just to reaffirm that there's not other streets that we should be bringing to the staff's attention.
Can I
Thank you.
Can I say a few things?
Well, of course.
It would appear that the budget, the capital list, and this was totally on Public Works, not finance in any way, that is not the updated list. So that 2025 revised budget and those amounts, including the 1.2 for the Kenwood section, that was what was approved last year at this time. And then Public Works Director at the time brought and did the workshop for the streets, and this board actually did vote in the following meeting to approve the new list, but that's not reflected here in this list that you guys are seeing right now.
Don't you think we should see the updated?
I do, and we will fix that. I'm just letting you know that that list is incorrect, and Public Works did not communicate that to Finance. I apologize.
Okay. Because when you said the 1.2, I thought we were told they weren't going to actually spend that full amount.
No, they did not.
So,
Actually, I can tell you they haven't spent a dime on that sort of street yet, at all,
Not a
this
dime?
year. Not a dime.
okay.
It's still in the budget, but they haven't spent a dime. And actually, I believe you reclassed that to some other streets with that, what was it, approval?
Yeah, they use that money to do multiple different streets.
Well, I know you explained that a optional list was put forth in a workshop, but I do not recall those streets actually being voted on by
Yeah,
the board.
I think it was in that very next board meeting.
If they
that
were.
was put on the consent agenda and approved unanimously.
Yeah, if you can get us that new page 79, that would be great.
Oh, yeah. The other thing I wanted to mention is just through research, talking to engineers, and the going rate for about a mile's worth of street rebuild right now is $6 million.
To
For
complete.
1 mile, that's like a full-on rebuild. That's like, the bee's knees, not milling and overlaying. We're talking curb gutter, the whole deal. Probably utility relocates, all that is roughly 6 million. I mean, that's a very loose number, but just kind of to know where we're at
Per one
Is
to do
mile.
that-
full rebuilds
Is
Per
that,
per 1 mile, you said.
per 1 mile, yep.
now is that if you do it or it's contracted out?
That's contract, that's contract. So, I mean, best case scenario, we do it probably for half, but I mean, that's still that's a
The
good
only
chunk of
problem
change.
with
And
that is that
also a
we've
full,
learned when we've
big
done
project
it.
rebuild, like not a small rebuild project or something.
When
like
we've tried to redo it ourselves, as we did Kenwood, it causes problems because your estimated time never actually hits because you're constantly taking the crew to go fix an emergency street issue. And so the thought process of having one dedicated crew that only sticks to that, it just never has panned out.
It's also important to note that when we do a street project, whether it be a build or an overlay type situation, our CDL drivers, almost the entire staff is CDL drivers, but not all of them are dedicated street guys. They might be on the street crew, but doing, infrastructure work, or might be, I don't know, they're different, but they're kind of together. Or our mowing crew, so even when we're doing streets, and this year they did 14 mowing overlays, which is the most our crew's ever done. They did a wonderful job. But other things, we determined we're maybe falling behind more than we like because we were having to pull drivers off for other projects to do those sorts. So to your point, that's exactly right. We can do really good in one area, but we might suffer a little bit in another. So.
Well, when the Kenwood was being built, there wasn't a choice. I mean,
Right.
you can be dedicated, but there was a lot of weather problems,
Right.
a tremendous amount of rain that caused delays. And, and where they were storing the equipment when it was raining was a muddy mess. And so, yeah, there were a lot of bad factors, but it was a situation where, you have a situation that can't wait on a street break. I mean, something, water main, you got to
Right.
tear up the street or whatever. And so it was a bad situation just on that one. But we caught a lot of
Mr. Vice
Facebook
Mayor?
announcements, I guess you go. Yeah.
So.
Yes, Director Hunt.
How long, thank you. How long can you continue with the mill and overlay for maintenance? Because obviously that's a lot less expensive. And I think of my road. I live on Dogwood, which was built probably 25 years ago. I mean, it's just a narrow little road, and then 25 years ago, completely rebuilt, right? And I think in the last few years. It may have been mill and overlaid a couple times. Recently, I think, in fact.
The whole thing, you think?
I thought it was on the list for a mill and overlay in the last 2 or 3 years.
Well, they did, I'll have to look to confirm, but I know that, I think last year, the year before, they did a lot of work around the bridge.
Maybe it was
And
just
I
the
know they
bridge
had to pave
area.
Yeah, you're
that
thinking of the
section where
bridge.
they
I
had to
think that
fix the
may
bridge.
be the original street.
Well, and what I started to say is, it's in pretty good shape
Yeah,
for
it is.
being very well,
We widened that.
well-traveled.
We widened and put the sidewalk on it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was actually our city first project that our staff did,
Well,
was that street.
And it's
they
an
did great.
example of one that has done really well over the years. And so maybe I'm wrong on the number of times that it's been mill and overlaid, but how long does that generally last so that you can put off a complete street rebuild?
It really depends on what's going on underneath the asphalt. So
Okay.
so let's say the street was in overall really good condition, subgrade wise, just minor dimpling or, alligator cracking or something like that. Typically, you can get anywhere 10 to 15 years off a mill and overlay, usually. Age is also a factor. There's a lot of factors that go into that scoring, but generally
Did the city
speaking.
also do University?
Bird streets?
No, University, I'm sorry, from downtown up to JBU.
I think we did.
I'd have to look. I feel like I do remember that
I
happening.
think that
but
was done before Dogwood, and it's done pretty well
Yeah,
too.
I'd have to look at that. I know
over
they
the
did some
years.
work on University since I've been here in the last 10 or so years. But obviously, I was the water plant guy then, so I'd not.
I think you're talking about from Holly down to the
I'm talking about from Holly
Yeah.
down to University. And I guess what I'm getting at, I think you've answered the question. So really the mill and overlay working depends on how good the foundation underneath it is. So in some cases, it's all that a street will need for a while. In other cases, it may need a complete rebuild.
Yes, ma'am. And even like in the Ravenwood subdivision, I think it was, well, I'm not going to name, Pickwick, I think, was in really rough shape, subgrade wise. So a lot of it says mill and overlay, but a lot of that work actually consisted of full rebuilds in sections. And I know at the end of the cul-de-sac that they pretty much rebuilt the entire cul-de-sac right there at the end.
Okay.
So even when they're going in, our crews anyway are going in and doing milling and overlays. Part of that work that they're looking to do is fix that street in those weak areas before they lay the new asphalt on top of it.
Okay. Okay. I mean, it'd be nice if we could just kind of stick with mill and overlay as much as we could, because it is obviously less expensive than $6 million per mile. Wow. But we can where we can, and we can't where we can't. Okay.
But what's amazing is how much we're fixing, like the Family Aquatic Center parking lot, all these things that were concrete. And I mean, when we took in Villaview Addition, we knew, Patterson didn't want to do it, but he knew that was all built in the 70s with concrete streets, and it's a mess. And he said, well, someday maybe, but it's certainly not going on the list
There was
right
a really awful area out there, and our guys did a great job of patching with a very nice square, big square, that area. And as far as I know, that's done pretty well, but yeah, it's still.
Oh, you mean
there's still
going down the
areas.
hill? Yeah.
Over on the farthest west part of Orchard Hills, I think it was.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions on the street department? Thank you, Josh, for all your updates. And like I said, there's a new sheriff of town. I think you're doing a great job. You're listening, and I appreciate, that's half the battle is listening, so I appreciate that a great deal. Christina,
And being the last one on the budget
healthcare,
list.
is there anything to that?
I'm sorry, I missed what you said.
It's an internal service fund,
Anything
right?
to healthcare?
It's an internal service, and we
Because we're
Try to make-
self-insured, right?
are self-insured, and basically all we do is ensure that we have enough revenue to cover our anticipated expenses.
We just want to make sure our employees stay healthy. Right? Anyone else?
I've got a couple things, if
Sure thing.
I can throw it out real quick.
Budget, his book is already closed, sorry.
Is it budget related?
Kind of, sort of.
Kind of, sort of.
I'm going to take a page out of Brad's book of looking down the road a little bit, but at the same time, I'm going to walk down memory lane. There were some things said tonight that specifically relates to this. There were some things said Tuesday night that somewhat alluded to this. And I guess it's a constant issue. I don't know that we can ever get ahead of it. It's hard enough to keep up. But talking about pay and retaining employees, and that's always an issue. I know there's nothing we can do about it now, this year, and that's not why I bring it up. I do bring it up just to keep in the back of our minds moving forward. I remember roughly 20 years ago, first time I was on the board, it was as big a problem then as it is now. But specifically for the police department, for the fire department, and then trickling down into other departments in the city, we were looked at as a revolving door. And people just came to get experience, and they were moving on. Then over time, because of leadership and, things, decisions that were made, we built a very solid department, and one that we all, I know as citizens and as board members, police and fire have been very proud of. But I guess things are cyclical, and we are facing that problem again. And so I just going forward, I think we're going to have some conversations. We're starting to lose people for higher paying jobs in other areas. And I asked for some examples. The list I have, I know is probably not all-inclusive. It doesn't have just every city in the area. We're last on this list. And I do not understand how Farmington can be first in pay, how they can pay $20,000 more per starting employee than on a police department than we can. Delaware County in Oklahoma, $7,000 more to start out there than what we can pay our officers. And I know same can be said for fire department. We are losing ground instead of even maintaining and being competitive. And so I'm just throwing that out because I honestly do not want to see Siloam go back to being just a revolving door. We've got some quality people, and experience costs money. And every time we lose somebody with experience, everybody says, oh, you're making a few $1,000s more. Well, yeah, they are, but it costs the city probably tenfold in training and hiring and whatnot. So it's upsetting to me a little bit. And I'm, like I said, there's nothing we can do about it now, this budget cycle. Maybe next time we can look at it a little bit more serious. But I just think that's something that we need to continually be aware of and probably discuss a little bit more than we have recently. The only other thing, and I know Betsy brought this up Tuesday, and I'm just asking, she asked for a list of, what each board member's wants were. Do you have any idea when you might have that? I'm just curious.
I spoke with the department heads today, and by wants, I think what she was saying was individually coming to me or to a department and asking for money to be spent on something, not just. So I have asked them to get them to me as soon as possible, but no later than end of day, like next Tuesday. So you should have that before the next board meeting.
Okay, I was just curious. Thank you. That's all I have.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
So there's been a lot of discussion during the, while we discussed the budget, about things that we possibly might want to see changed, or at least have discussion on or vote on. Do we discuss it during the next board meeting? Do we have another meeting just to go through that list? How are the directors wanting to handle that?
I would assume we'll have one more budget meeting to discuss everything. I mean, I know it's not scheduled yet. I mean, my thought was, or one thought I had, was since we're already going to have a meeting, special called meeting to discuss the sales tax, that would be an option for doing it when we're already going to be here, unless everybody just wants to come in for another meeting all on its own. So I'm open to whatever. That was just one thought I
You're talking
had.
about another meeting next week because our board meeting's Tuesday.
Well,
the following week.
It would actually be Monday. That special called meeting is Monday, the 15th, the day before the board meeting. That was just a thought I had because it would save us another meeting, but I'm fine because next week we had a hard time. Everybody had stuff going on, so.
I thought we had something next Tuesday.
We
Is
do.
there-
Not
No.
this coming Tuesday, but we do
the
have a
planning-
workshop scheduled for before the 16th meeting for budget.
You mean?
Oh, we do?
You mean?
Okay.
Yes, we do, just, but
A
it's only an
budget
hour.
workshop?
If you feel like it's going
It's
to take
just an
longer.
hour, yeah.
Right.
But it's before the board meeting, the next board meeting. There's not a budget meeting scheduled for next week.
There is not.
No.
I thought when we were trying to plan the special meeting on the sales tax at our board meeting, I thought we had said there was something scheduled for this coming Tuesday.
There is, it's the planning commission.
No, I thought
No.
we had
Oh.
said, okay. That was the reason we couldn't have the special, okay.
And we would be able to use that list because you'll include what we discussed in the budget of people, like I've listed some things. And then I haven't went to you privately and said, I want these things. I've said everything out in public, and then it'll include the ones that went to you privately.
I don't think that, so my understanding is that I am to bring whatever people have asked, whatever board members have asked us to spend money on. If it's only what is been requested for us to put in the budget, nobody's requested we put anything in the budget.
I liked Betsy's list. I wanted to make sure my stuff that I've said in these meetings repeatedly is also on that list so it can be discussed.
You mean said in the budget meetings?
So I think we're talking about two different things, the things that have been discussed here and then the things that I had requested are two separate things.
Well, you better review with Christina what you've asked for, because I'm not sure she understands.
I'm going to send, what I can do is I can send out a list of everything that I have typed up as a question from our budget workshop meetings thus far. And what we can do is when we meet, well, I'll send it out prior to that, so in case there's anything that needs to be added. And then when we meet again, whether we do it at the special call meeting or if we do it in the hour before the next regularly scheduled meeting, basically, if it's in a workshop, you guys can provide consensus to me to make a change that will be approved when we do the resolution, or when we do the resolution, we can go through line by line and tick them off and vote yes or no for each individual thing. Depends on how you guys want to do it.
I know the stuff that I wanted on the list, I do want to sit down with you and staff because I think there's supporting documentation with the requests that I've made.
I'm pardon,
Like, the things that I've said in the meetings that I've said, I would like for us to vote on this, or
Yes.
whatever we need to do to discuss
Yes.
it. I think we shouldn't ignore, I think we should have a discussion. There's supporting documentation that I think needs to go to all the board of directors. And I would like to sit with you after you make that list. I mean, I can go back through too, but I want to make sure you have the same list I have. And then
Yes.
get that documentation together for the benefit of the other directors.
Why would you want to meet with staff and Christina, just you, to discuss what you're talking about?
I'm not discussing it. I'm getting the data from them to give to you guys.
You're getting the data from staff, or you're giving data to staff?
I don't have that data. It's data from the city that we're going to be voting on. Documentation that supports anything I've requested that we have a conversation on. So you have a full picture and not a partial picture.
When you say what you've requested, you're talking about things you've requested in the budget meeting, or things you've requested
No,
outside
just
the
in the
budget?
budget meeting. I
Okay.
haven't had any private.
Okay. Betsy, I got confused. What were you saying you were asking for in the last meeting?
I was asking for, like I had talked about the swing for kids with special needs, and I had asked that anything else that directors had asked for, money spent on or to be included, or,
Even just saying it like informally in the foyer or something?
well, or ask Christina or department heads or whatever, that's not like repair type things, so that we can discuss everything here and make decisions before we vote on the budget.
I'm going to echo what Ken said. I have also seen us face that revolving door problem for a long, long time, and finally have got a handle on it, I think. But it is like anything else. If you don't stay on top of it, you'll start to go backwards. Or just not necessarily go backwards, but you don't help yourself by staying in one place. The thing that I believe we hurt ourselves last year, I believe it was last year or the year before, was the change on our city retirement to the employee only paying 3% and the city paying 12%. I think that can really end up hurting us on our salary and benefits, because as I pointed out last year, we are already at the level where salary and benefits is the biggest expense the city has. Whereas 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, it was cost of power. It's been cost of power for a long time. Cost of what we pay GRDA has been our biggest expense because of how much we pay to resell it. And by raising our rates through the rate study or the pay survey, and then changing our benefit package to where the employee gets 4 times what they put up. I know at one time it was 8%, then it went to 12% last year, I think. And I just say we can really end up hurting ourselves in the long run with that, only because we were trying to match other cities. And I think when you look at that and where we've raised, and I'm not talking our safety departments, that's the revolving door we've had to, and we've finally helped. I'm talking about the rest of the whole city as a whole. When you look at responding to the pay survey as we did, when we first got the pay survey, I thought it was a one-time thing, and then the next year we voted it and we were told, no, it's a 3-year thing and we've got to do it because we agreed to do it. And then the third year was another raise. The retirement being so different in that there's very few places you can go in the private sector where you are given such a lucrative difference in your retirement. It's almost always equal match to a 401k. And so I think we're now to the point that we are paying so well and retirement benefits so well and health insurance and everything else so well that I've heard people around town say it, and I've heard our staff say it, or our board say it. If you left the city employment and you're getting a really nice salary, you could not go anywhere else in Siloam and get the same benefits and pay. And that's a fact because we don't have the industry that would match that. So I'm saying when we changed the retirement, whenever it was, last year or the year before, whenever, to compete with these other cities, I think we really did not understand the projection of how this is going to affect our overall expenditures for many years to come. So I think at some point we have to reevaluate for future employees, changing that. I'm not saying there's anything can be done about what we have now, but I'm saying for new employees, I'm questioning if we can continue to always do a 12% city match to a 3% employee match. It just seems way out of line. Yes? Pardon? Yeah, I'm done.
I wanted to say two things regarding what Ken spoke about. I agree with Ken. And I've had this discussion looking at bonuses. If we find that we need to be thinking about and keep it in the back of our mind, if we find that the salary is not in line and we're going to be that revolving door, because when I worked here, I remember it being a revolving door, and we don't want to become that again, then look at the bonuses for a one-time bonus instead of an every year guarantee. You know what I'm saying? A one-time bonus is easy to justify. And then the second thing, I think one of the issues with the retirement is you had people getting 18%, you had people getting 15%, you had people getting 12%, you had people getting 6%. And so we put a value on your position. We said, okay, if you're at this level, you're more important to the city than those people that are working at these other jobs that are at the water department or sanitation or these other departments. And so people felt less valued that. And it takes every person to make this city work. If the city administrator was not here for a month, we would not notice it at the same level as if our sanitation not running for a month. I guarantee you the first person they're going to notice, the citizens are going to notice, is that sanitation worker not working. And so I think that was the value in the retirement. And if we do it, I think we need to stay consistent throughout the city and not put a value on one person over another, because it takes every city employee to make this city run.
Well, first of all, I don't know how we ever had employees at so many different variables of 18 or 15 or whatever. I know as a general rule, we had the majority of them at 8, and we raised them to 12. By changing what you're saying to 12% to try to retain, you're saying sanitation, it hasn't helped retain. I mean, we've still had a lot of people come and go at sanitation because, as we were just saying, it's a dirty job. I say I don't think we have to try to compete against Fayetteville. Fayetteville is a big government-run city. Their elected body is a belief in big government. And for us to use them as an example for trying to give higher benefits that could end up really tanking our general fund because we have so much money going out the door in paying benefits because we've been trying to compete. I was here when we were a training ground for safety personnel. And I am so appreciative we finally got a handle on that. But across the board, outside of the safety personnel, the pay survey was, I think, a bit skewed. I don't think the board fully grasped the ramifications of it being over 3 years. And I think at some point you have to say the citizens are our bosses. And city employees should not be paid better and benefit better than any other company throughout the city or through Northwest Arkansas. So I'm saying we really have to watch this. I'm not saying we have to curb anything. I'm saying it is a question on the future employee hires, whether we can keep this 12% or revert it back to the original 8%.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
It was done before I got on the board. I will say I was a bit surprised to hear that an employee, if they put 3%, the city would put 12%. I had never heard of that before. And I've been told by staff that it is very hard on the budget. It's very hard on the finances. I think something you said, even considering keeping it what it is for current staff, because I don't think that's fair to go backwards. But maybe consider, if new hires, that it's, I was told it used to be like if they put 3%, the city would put 6% and then continue matching and like up to 12 or whatever, if it's going to be the same number across the board. So that's would be a thought, a way to do
Like a
it.
2 to 1, if it went to 12, they'd have to contribute 6.
9. So like.
Oh, a
if-
3% difference.
Right, yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
and honestly, and sorry for whoever doesn't like it, I really don't understand why it's not a dollar for dollar match. I've never seen that anywhere else. When I've worked, it's never been, but I was told previously that if they put 3% in, the city would put 6% in. So, I mean, I'm open or flexible,
I
whatever.
have seen 2 for 1, but it's almost always 1 for 1, because otherwise there is no real incentive for the employee to increase their amount, because the city's always going to give 12%. And
Yeah,
12% over time is a heck of a deal.
And like I said, I've been told by a couple staff that it is it's hard on our budget. And like I said, I was quite surprised, but I don't think it should be taken away from anybody currently.
No, me either.
Vice Mayor?
Yes, Brad?
I like the discussion, but it sounds like a top priority for the new city administrator.
I
First
agree.
challenge.
I agree.
First challenge.
Yep.
Mr. Mayor.
It's just something
On
that
my list.
it's just something I think, since we're here for budget, that it was good to
I agree.
at least get out in the open, so that I think that city administrator will know this is something he's got to address. Yeah.
You're playing cornhole with the people that you're going to affect, so
I know.
good luck.
Well, I'm not saying affect the current ones.
No, I'm
And
just
I'm
joking.
saying down the
I
road.
made it very clear that nothing should change for current staff unless it's to increase it.
Mr. Vice Mayor. So I remember that discussion vaguely. I believe I did understand it was going to be a 3-year raise, but that was because even increasing 3 years in a row was still not going to get us quite to where comparable cities were, and that we were still always going to face never really getting quite there yet. So that was my understanding of the reason why it went for 3 years. I know there was a push for the 12% because there were some, I believe, in the higher ranks that were getting 18%. And we grandfathered those in, but as new people replaced them, they came down to the 12% and so there were some that came down from 18 to 12 and some that went up from 6 to 12 across the board, and that is very good. That's not what I got, what I get. That is very good, whether we want to stick with that or not. I mean, I can understand how it can be,
But you can
challenge the
require
budget.
you can require the employee to give a higher percentage if the city is going to give a higher percentage. And sticking at 3% for the city, for
but
the
that's,
employee.
I mean, whether the city or whether the employee contributes more or not, the city's still contributing the same amount of money. I mean, how's that helping the city? If the employee has to contribute more, the city's still giving out 12%.
No, I'm not saying
All
stay at
employees
12.
don't choose to contribute. So if they're not contributing, the city doesn't, if the employee doesn't choose to contribute more than 3%, the city doesn't have to keep
Oh, okay,
going
so
at
if
12.
they don't, so we could raise what they have to contribute, and then some may self-select out. So that's where our savings would be. Okay,
Right.
I see what you're saying there.
And my understanding from discussions that I've had regarding this is that the younger ones, they don't care about going up. It's not till you get older when you start realizing,
And not that this
oh
helps
my.
our budget, but I will just say to all you young people, it is free money. Do not turn it down. My goodness, whether it's 3% or 12%, do not turn it down.
The other thing regarding that pay survey and us voting to follow it was that we raised the range each year for each job. And the problem I've seen over the years before we did the pay survey changes was through automatic raises every single year, which happened under Mr. Patterson, did not happen under Cameron or Latham. You have people who through attrition get much higher pay way beyond their job should be getting paid. You have an executive assistant getting $80,000, $85,000, which is way beyond what the normal scale on our pay is, but it's because of length of service, and they've just always got that raise that now they're way beyond the scale that we have decided it should be. And I mean, at some point you have to say, you're topped out. You're topped out. You can't get, even if you get a raise across the board, I'm sorry, you're topped out. You have to do that when people get way beyond, like tens of thousands out of their range through previous attrition, is what I'm talking about.
And I agree, this sounds like a
And I'm not saying that's going on
great job for the
now,
new
but-
city administrator. Because I'm hearing a little bit of conflicting information here. I feel like you started with saying we're not paying enough, and so we're
Well,
revolving
police and
door.
fire.
Police and fire specifically?
Yes.
Okay.
That's where the whole revolving door issue came for years. We simply were a training ground.
Not staff in general,
No.
please, okay.
The training ground for police and fire, they would come here, accept the low pay because they could get the training to then go and say, well, now I've got this, which many places require that to get a good, but they've then got the training here. And so, and we want the people to stay. We want them to, once they get hired, stay with the city and build a career.
Or start charging the other departments for the training that we've provided. I'm sure that would go over real well. Tell Springdale, okay, you can have them, but we're going to charge you money.
Send them a bill.
All right, anyone else? Thank you, folks. I think we've had a good meeting. This will be our last official budget meeting, right?
No, we need another one.
To make the changes. I'm saying regarding staff being here. Will we have another one where staff will have to come? This is the last one in terms of going budget by, department by department.
This is the last one going department by
Yeah,
department.
Yeah. But on the next one, we still may need some staff to be here, you estimate. All right.
Yep.
All right, this meeting, do I hear a motion to adjourn, or do we have a motion? Moved and seconded, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We're adjourned.